Well, hello everyone. This is Al Fadi, and I'd like to welcome you to another series that will focus on the Quran. This one is going to deal with the so-called Qira'at and Ahruf controversy, which is probably something that everybody is now becoming more and more familiar with for various reasons. But I'll leave that until a later time during this series that we will discuss this. When I say we, I mean myself. And who else is more qualified to talk about these topics other than our dear brother, Dr. Jay Smith? Jay, thank you so much, as always, for agreeing to be with us, for taking time to do these amazing series. And it's been timely, to say the least. So what is it, Jay, that we are going to deal with in this particular series?
Well, Al-Fadi, this is something that has really come and blown up all over the world in the last 2.5 months. We're now in 2020. Back in 2016, we introduced this to a place called Speaker's Corner. Many people know about Speaker's Corner. It's unique in the world. It's the only place on earth where you can say anything you want. It's considered to be the bastion of freedom of speech, and it's been around for about 160 years. We would go down there. Hatun Tash is the one who we really need to give credit to. She was the one that actually found out about these Qira'at by accident. She was in a North African city, and she has teaching there, and she went into a bookstore to find some Arabic Qurans to bring back to her students. And so she went in there innocently and said, could I please buy some good Arabics Qurans? And the response was, well, which one do you want? She says, what do you mean, which one do I want? She says, well, there's many different kinds of Qurans. Now, from a Muslim background that she had grown up in Turkey, she'd never heard this before.
That's right.
And it floored her. I mean, you'd never heard this growing up, have you?
Absolutely. So there's one Quran, and that's all
Always
you hear.
been one Quran.
That's right.
And so she was curious. She says, what are you talking about? Well, she says, well, the most popular one here is called the Warsh Quran. She says, Warsh Quran? I thought that the Quran is one. And then there's the other one called the Hafs Quran, and they had the Qalun, and they had these others. Well, she said, well, give me them all. And so she brought them back to London and introduced them to me. And I remember kind of smiling because I had heard about this when I was in my seminary with Dr. Dudley Woodbury had talked about these different Qira'at or Ahruf. But back then, I didn't think that they were in existence anymore. I had thought that they had been thrown into the Nile River. I thought that they had been done with. I thought this was taken care of back in 1924.
Just like Uthman thought he took care of the other things also.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
He thought by burning all these
That's right.
other Qira'at, these other dialects, that would take care of it. And I think this is something we're going to be unpacking. So that was a surprise to her. Back, I think it was 2013, 2014. I can't remember the year. But it was there from that point that she started collecting these. And I remember having we had a discussion about this there in London. And I said, Hatun, why are you doing this? I didn't really think that this was that important. And still to this day, for me as an academic, for you as an academic, this is not that important from an academic standpoint because we're just talking about 5 dots and 3 vowels. 5 dots and 3 vowels.
At least academically speaking, correct.
Who cares? So this is done much later. This is done in the 8th, 9th, and 10th century, and this is nothing more than trying to ameliorate, trying to understand the consonantal text, trying to understand the skeletal text, trying to make sense of these words. Because remember, back in the 7th century, there were only about 16 letters. But they were 16 letters, could be spoken and could be pronounced many different ways. So they had to find out some means to delineate which letters, like a little smiley face would be, and they came up with 5 different letters just with one smiley face. That was introduced in the 8th century, and from the 8th century then, once you had all these dots, 5 dots and 3 vowels, you can get lots and lots of combinations. People were coming up with all kinds of combinations, and for me, thinking in 2013, 2014, when Hatun started bringing these back to London, I said, you're just talking about pronunciation. You're just talking about dialectical differences. You're talking about really nothing more than orality. But that's not really the real battle, Hatun. The real battle is with the consonantal skeletal text itself. And she says, no, Jay. You don't understand. You're thinking as an academic. You're thinking as an American. I come from this world. I am a Muslim. I have grown up a Muslim. And in my household and in every one of my years growing up, I've always heard one narrative. There is one Quran. There's only one Quran.
And what's so interesting is that even if I were to take these Qurans and go, let's say, to my home back in Saudi, and say these are different Qurans, they'll laugh at me and say they're all the same Quran.
Exactly.
That will be the response.
And what she has grown up hearing, and what I have always been told, but I didn't really think it through, is there is not one word changed, there is not one letter changed.
Correct.
The same letters in the Quran that we have today, here it is right here, this is the Quran we have today, is exactly the same as that which was revealed to Muhammad between 610 and 632. Exactly the same letters, the same words. In some cases, they would say even the same dots and the same vowels as that which was finally canonized and written down in its final form at the time of 652, the time of Uthman. Exactly the same that exists in heaven. That's what she's been told. Now, is that what you were told when you were a Muslim?
Absolutely. It's the exact same Quran. That's why the Bible has always been under attack, because Muslims will always make the claims that, hey, you guys have different Bibles, but we have only one Quran.
You can't make this claim, we can. I've heard that for 38 years. I've always heard that. This is the only book that can be traced back to its origin. You can't make that claim. This is the only book that has never changed. You can't make that claim. This is the only book that is eternal. You can't make that claim. This is the only book that has retained its eternality, has not been touched by human hands. You can't make that claim. And I've said, yes, of course, I would never make that claim about the Bible. We don't need to make that claim about the Bible. We have never, for a very good reason, because we know it was written by men. We even know the names of the men that wrote each book. We put their names at the head of each book.
Inspired by God, absolutely.
But inspired by God, but not written by God, verbatim. And they're making an even bigger claim, and we're going to get into this later on. I don't want to really steal the thunder for right now. But can you understand what Hutton was saying to me back in 2014? She was saying, Jay, wake up, wake up, wake up. Let me, believe me, this will destroy every Muslim's faith. Because every Muslim, and she's talking about 99.9% of Muslims. That is the Muslims who are here in the traditional world, the Muslims that are in where she came from, in Turkey, the Muslims that are on the street, the Muslims that are in their homes, who have always been drilled this in their head, that there is only one Quran, that God preserves that Quran, that God does not allow any human interference, that God guards it. And therefore the Quran that we have in our hand today is the same as the Quran that is in heaven, the same that was given to Muhammad, the same that was written by Uthman. Therefore, to even suggest that there's another Quran or a second Quran or a different Quran destroys everything that she grew up with. And she says, Jay, that's the impact. We've got to collect these Quran. So she did so. She started collecting them. Now, she didn't go to these countries herself. She had friends who were in the certain country, like you say, Morocco, or they were there in Jordan, or they were there in Yemen. Those are the three major countries. And she says, when you go there, go to the bookshop and ask them, I need this one. I need Qalun. I need Nafi. I need Ibn Kathir. And she knew all the names because they're right there in Wikipedia. You can go up on Wikipedia. Go, and I encourage any of you who are listening to this, you Muslims, go to Wikipedia and look at the 30 names, the 30 different canonical Qira'ats, the 30 different Qira'at Qurans.
And Samuel Green also on the Answer in Islam website did invest on listing these total of 30, if you wish, the 10 plus the 2 for each one of them, two narrators, and you even have links to where you can go and buy these different ones. I mean, it's like right there out in the open. It's not like there are secrets out there that you cannot really find them. It's available.
Show you what we have sitting right in front
and
of us.
I was going to ask you to explain to people, maybe now or next time, what is it that we're showing here? Why do we have these many different so-called Qurans?
Why are they sitting right in front of us? Well, folks, these are 7 that I just bought about 2 weeks ago. I got these online. You can buy these online. These are 7 different Qira'at Qurans. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to go look at not just these 7. These are 7 of the 30. 4 of them are from the 7, and 3 of them are from the other 21 that we're going to talk about.
Right.
Or in this case, we're going to get into that because we're going to talk about the 7, then the 10, then the 30. But these ones you can buy. I got these from Illinois. These are here in the United States. And I would encourage any of you who want to get into this field, buy them up now, because they're going to stop this once they realize how public we're going to make this, that every one of these Qurans that you see here is different. Not one of these is the same. And these has nothing to do with translations. This has nothing to do with English or French or Portuguese or any other language. These are all in Arabic, which is your language.
Yeah, and I want to just explain because people ask me sometimes, are you saying these are two different Qurans, different meaning, like when you open them, you're not going to find exactly the same thing? I know where you're coming from when you say different. Please explain, what do we mean by different?
So when you look at the Arabic, now this is Arabic and English. This is the Quran that we use today. This is the Quran that everybody uses. Well, now according to Yasakadi, at least 90% of the Muslim world uses this one. And this is the one that we have to use, and it's called the Hafs Quran. We'll get into that later on, what we mean by Hafs. This is the Quran here. I'm going to put it right side up. Here we go. When you look at this one here, let's get it the right way. This right here, look and see what it says. It says Warsh right there.
Right.
Warsh.
Min Nafi'. That's
okay.
right.
Now, there, it's from the family of Nafi. Now, this one here and this one are two of the most popular Qurans in the world today. This one is used in North Africa. This one is used all around the rest of the world, and this is one we have to use. But just looking at the Arabic text in these two, there are 5,000 differences between this book and this book. Yet I've always heard from every Muslim in every corner, in every debate, in every discussion, that the Quran is exactly the same.
And
there's not one letter, not one word different.
That's exactly what I want you to say. When we say different, we're talking from a Muslim standpoint, folks. Muslims will tell you it's one Quran that has no changes whatsoever, yet, there you go, you've heard it, 5,000 changes just between these two.
We're going to unpack that a little bit more in another episode. We're going to look at some of the changes. We don't have the time to go through all 5,000. And we're not the ones who are doing the work. You and I haven't done the work here. This has been done by a group who, they're in Australia, working under Bernie Power, Dr. Bernie Power, and his whole team of Arabists. They are all Arab speakers. They are all Arab teachers. They are all grammaticists. They have looked at these five, and they have broken them down into categories. And we're going to look at some of those categories, just to show you that with this, these are not incidental changes. These change not only wholesale words, but also the meanings, and in some cases the practices, and also some cases the beliefs.
Well, Dr. J, you're whetting our appetite, so let's summarize for people what is it that they will be exposed to in the course of this particular series.
Yeah, we're going to go through a number of episodes. I can't say how many yet because it depends on the time. But what we want to first start with are what the Muslim leaders' claims are. And what I would like to do with you, because you come from an Arab background, I want to look at the presuppositional difficulties. You need to be careful what presupposition you start with. That will be the first thing we talk about, because that's hugely significant. Depending on the presupposition, your outcome will be different.
That's right.
Secondly, then I want to look and see what the modern Muslims scholars are now saying. And then I want to go back and compare that with what the medieval Muslim scholars said, and particularly the ones who actually gave us the list of these qira'at. I want to go to Ibn Mujahid and see what he
And that's
believed.
like 400 years later, after the rise of Islam, and we'll tell people why.
Well, in case Mujahid, it's 300 years. You're right.
Yeah, 300.
936.
That's
so
right.
we're talking about the medieval. He did not say what the modern Muslim scholars are saying. But then something happened another century after that, in the 11th century. I don't want to steal the thunder on that one either, so we'll wait till we get to that episode. From there, we're going to look at the 30 official qira'ats that we have today. We're going to show them. We're going to show you the sequence of them. Then we'll move into looking at the variant Qurans. We're going to then ask, how did they come to those 30, or are there more than 30? Hold on to that question. That's going to be fun, because we're going to find there's actually more than 30. And then we're going to unpack as how they were formed. What was it, and what was the criteria they used to choose these 30?
Right.
You're going to love that one. In fact, that's one of my favorite, because then we're getting to some academic questions.
Not
there.
only that, I mean, I would like for people to know how they chose the most popular one, Hafs, in the first place.
Well, that's going to come to that.
Yeah.
Because before we do that, though, we do want to look at some of the variants. We want to see just how substantial these variants are. Are they meaningless? Are they nothing more than just pronunciation? Mm-hmm. And from there, we'll move into the Hafs. And before we go into the Hafs, I'd like to do a comparison between the Hafs and the Warsh, these two. And we'll do an episode just looking at these two, comparing these two.
And by the way, these are the most common ones, you know, Hafs in the most of the Muslim world, Warsh at least in North Africa.
Yeah.
So they're very common.
That's why I want to talk about, because they're the ones that most people know about. We could do this with the other 28. But we're going to look at just those two because they are the most common. Once we do that, then I want to look and see how is it the Hafs was chosen, and whether or not he should have been chosen. And what we're going to find out, they should never have chosen Hafs. Mm-hmm. He is one of the least legitimate of all the 30 qira'ats to have been chosen. At the end, then, we're going to conclude and bring it all together. And we're going to come and we're going to walk it through and show how much of impact, so that people can use this in their own conversations, and also so Muslims will be able to come to some type of conclusion. So I like to see Muslims come to conclusions, because after we finish these episodes, I want to see if any Muslim can stand up in public and say that there is only one Quran. I'd like to see if they can say this. And if they do, I'd like to see how they support it. Because after today, especially after that interview that happened 2.5 months ago between Yasser Qadhi and Muhammad Hijab, after that interview, which blew the whole thing open, I'd like to see how Muslims can really make this claim, continue to make this claim today.
Interesting. Well, you've heard it, folks, and obviously we are going to unpack all of this in a number of episodes. We don't know yet how long it's going to take us, simply because it's deep topics, and every one of those topics might take us a couple of episodes if we feel like it's necessary to unpack it at a deeper level. With that said, if you are a Muslim watching this, we truly encourage you to reassess your presupposition about the Quran. It is extremely important for you to realize that you've been told a lie that you yourself cannot substantiate anymore. And if you've been told a lie about the book that is the source of your faith, what does that say about everything related to your faith, your journey, and your destiny, eternal destiny, that is? If you're a believer in Christ and watching this, and you are engaged with Muslims in terms of dialogues and things like that, we're not doing this, me and Dr. J, because we want you to attack Muslims. We want you to reach out to them, to reason with them, and hopefully this will provide even a better bridge for you to try to bring them to Jesus. It's not about attacking, it's not about insulting, it's not about mocking, it's about inviting to accept the Lord. Thank you again, everyone, for watching this. Thank you, Dr. J. We look forward to the episodes that will follow. And I encourage you, of course, to take notes, share these videos, watch them over and over again. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out to me or to Dr. J, and we'll do everything possible to respond back to you. Or even if you have thoughts and ideas, we welcome any of that. You never know. Some of your thoughts and ideas can help us even come up with follow-up series as well. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. And until we see you again next time, have a blessed day. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, Sira International. Also, click on the bell so that you can receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or we go live. And I would like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking on the link right below, and that way you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you on how you can give to our channel. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.